Welcome back, everybody. Today, I'm going to be making a video that's a little bit different than some of the other showcases or guides that I've done for EpicSeven. Today, we're going to be talking about things that you might not have known or remembered about EpicSeven specifically, because the game is now, what, 5 or something years old at this point. And though they have a lot of nice things like quality of life, there are a lot of things that veterans kind of just know. And if you're a newer player, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. Okay, so first and foremost, the thing that I want to talk about is the new UI in the shop. Now, this is something that maybe more of you guys newer to the game or maybe a bit more familiar, especially if you've played more recently. If you've taken a look at the shop for any reason, packs, buying energy, whatever, that's okay. But something that you may do as a semi-older-ish kind of player is you may, enter into the shop every day, go to your conquest points tab, buy out all your energy here, buy out your energy from the friendship tab, maybe buy something from the transmits, etc. However, actually something that they just recently added to the game is that, well, I've already bought it for today, but all the energy and all the dailies and weeklies that you would like to normally typically pick up is all in the recommended tab at the very beginning, assuming that you press through this little button press here. So as you can see here, the Purin's complement, aka the your abyss equivalent for energy, is always refreshing here. Your Molagoras, your energy, your anything that you could basically think of is always going to be in this tab now. So if you don't want to have to scroll down for whatever reason, that's kind of a nice quality of life that you could definitely just take use of. Now, of course, this is not the most revolutionary thing, but these are things that once you start to add up and you start to do, it saves a little bit of time, which is kind of nice. And the other thing that kind of saves a lot of time that not a lot of people know about, and I personally haven't been able to do it myself, is actually removing or making your path to the Hoochie shop from Labyrinth easier. Now, in terms of what exactly I mean by that, as you can see, a lot of people will go to Hall of Silence, Terrell, Chaos, like Castle and Chaos, and they'll basically run through here. And sometimes it's annoying because you don't want to have any, any allies, or you want to just get through to the Hoochie shop really fast. But darn, you have all these like little random mobs here that you don't really have any way of, like speeding through without killing, basically. So you do normally have to run something like an AoE composition, but sometimes it's annoying. Sometimes you just want to go to the Hoochie shop. And this is, of course, a minor quality of life, but do this enough times. Like I said, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for the mobs to get one shot. You don't have to make sure that you have an AoE or damage dealers in general. If you have your skills turned on, like you can kind of imagine, this is my, my Abyssal or my, Euphine Labyrinth team that I'm using right here. If I had all the skills on, it would be like a Katie's using, that's like 2 whole minutes basically to kill 4 mobs on my way to getting the Hoochie shop drops. And very cool, very nice, very nice. Thank you for the drops, Hoochie. In any case, there's actually a way for you to get rid of this. And as far as I can tell, I myself have not been able to expend the Labyrinth coins to do that. However, what I've been told is that if you just keep RNGing through the stage, like you keep clearing through the stage, or if you full clear through the stage over and over and over, there is a rotation of the map that doesn't have mobs at all, which again will then lead to a faster clear, a bit less headache, and just in general like a nicer experience. Though of course it isn't game breaking, you're not getting a free ML5 out of it. These are all nice quality of life things that, of course, add up, and that's kind of the theme of today's video, making your life a little bit easier so that you don't have to spend every waking hour thinking about your EpicSeven. The next thing that I think is kind of also less known and not a lot of people talk about, wait, instead of yield, just use the portal. My path is no mobs. Well, yeah, but I mean, you can, sorry, trying to understand that. I don't know if you mean Save the World that, I think regardless you would have to do that because the either path or portal that you have has mobs. Unless you mean using the portal to escape out. Anyways, moving along, we have the next shop that I do also want to talk about. This is something that also I don't think a lot of people have to talk about, or that not a lot of people think about or look into. And it's that if you go to the first stage or the first chapter of, the first episode of Adventure, Chapter 3-4, there's actually this labyrinth, specifically 3-4, that has this goblin merchant here that also sells additional charms. You want charms? More charms, right? That's always great, right? Getting more and more charms. great, great, great. Like, wow, I'm so happy with this, with all these additional charms, which is really nice, especially because we have the charm event going on. But that's another thing that I think a lot of people don't really take into consideration. A lot of people will just skip over this. Formerly, and the reason why in the past a lot of people didn't go to the shop is because the shop had very expensive scam items, like a 1 billion gold, like level 55 lifesteal set. Absolutely not worth it, and I've seen people buy it, which is absolutely ridiculous. But if you go actually to this little button at the top, I know a lot of people in EpicSeven will skip the tutorial, or for the most part, in most games, people will skip tutorials. But something that I think has been talked about and kind of fought about a little bit is whether or not there's actually a cap on dual attacks. And there's been arguments where it feels like my dual attack cap is 50%, or feels like it's only 10, or, you know, it feels like it's 75, whatever the case. Well, I'm here to officially or definitively knock down any or dispel any myths. And as you can see right here, there's a little blurb right here that it says only heroes who are not paralyzed or stunned can dual attack. Dual attack chance cannot exceed 30%. Now, of course, if we have some sort of situation where it's like the counter where they say that counter's 20% and it ends up being higher than that, then okay. But in terms of literally being told by Smilegate what the cap is and seeing what the exact raw cap is, there it is. It's in the game. You can see it for yourself. The next thing that I think is also kind of interesting, and this is kind of just maneuverability and accessibility when it comes to moving around EpicSeven, or at least that's basically what it feels like in terms of being a tour guide. If you were curious about trying to get to your lobby or get to your teams and you have the tavern layout of your background, if you press this little table here, you go straight to your teams, which is kind of nice. You know what I mean? For me personally, I've already developed the habit of clicking on these 4 squares at the top right and having access to things like the team and the recruit and all that. However, if you aren't someone like that and you use things like the buttons on the bottom or the arena, the battle, the side story adventure, and you use like the backpack and you have no reason to use the 4 square, well, if you want to access the teams, all you have to do is press on the table right there. Another thing that I think is criminally not discussed about and probably makes you want to tear your hair out is how you actually use this search function. Now, of course, a lot of people will just skim through and that's totally fine. But let's say you don't know who you're looking for. You don't want to search through hundreds of characters. What if you want to just look up Knockwall or you want to look up someone like Ken? Well, if you look up Ken, as you can see, for some reason, we don't get Ken. We get by Ken. And you may be wondering to yourself, how does that make sense? There's literally a character in the game named Ken. However, what you actually need to do is capitalize the first letter, or basically capitalize whatever you're trying to start the name of your character with, in order for you to actually see any names, or it's basically case sensitive, but only specifically for, I guess, the first letter. I haven't tried this exactly with like doing stuff like capital K, lowercase e, capital N, and stuff like that. But if you even want to find any of the characters that you're talking about, like Sirmia, right? Sirmia does not exist. Obviously, Sirmia is a real character though, right? Let's try it with a capital A. Wow, it is just case sensitive. Okay. In other words, yeah, it's just case sensitive. The only way for you to use the specific search function if you're trying to search through things is to have case sensitive typing and searching functions, which is kind of annoying. It is what it is, however. Now, that's really nice as a function if you're trying to sort through things, but something that you may be thinking about on the topic of efficiency is what you should actually be doing for this high command thing. I'll probably release a video talking about the best use of Breath of Orbuses in 2024, because I do think that things have changed since the last time that I played. But as you can see here, there's a number of like different missions and things that you can take. And if you want to talk about efficiency, there's 2 ways to think about this. If you are someone that only comes back once a day or something like that, of course, getting more bang for your buck in terms of using more energy or using or doing a longer kind of activity, something like maybe this 7 energy or like this 4-hour 2500 16.5k gold, something like that. One of these rewards that are longer and lengthier will definitely be more bang for your buck because you're only logging in once per day. However, it should be noted that if you are someone that is prone to checking or looking at your EpicSeven quite frequently, it is actually more efficient, technically speaking, to do, I believe, the 2-hour that costs 1 energy. If you're just there over and over and over and over, the more frequent that you appear, the better it is. Just to be clear as well, technically speaking, I guess you can argue that you lose 50 EXP if you were to do it 1 hour each, which is like, as you can see right here, that like that's basically what they're saying. But even if you look at the 30-minute versus the 1 hour comparison, you are still losing EXP in terms of raw value or efficiency. This right here is the 2 hour task, and if you just compare it, feels like you'd be losing a bit of efficiency in terms of energy versus gold and EXP gained, or EXP and arena points gained. Long story short, you could do the math for yourself or kind of assess what's better for you. But in terms of efficiency, I like the 2 hours. Other people will definitely suggest something like the 4 hours, which also makes sense because who is logging in every 4 hours in EpicSeven? And specifically checking their lobby, probably not a lot of you guys. However, the math had to be done. The advice had to be given. Let's move on. The next thing that we should talk about on the topic of things and efficiency is, great segue, Canna, is talking about the Breaths of Orbis. Now, in terms of the Breaths of Orbis, if you aren't familiar with this, that's what you use to upgrade your sanctuary or anything within here, your Forest of Souls. If you want to improve your buildings, anything like this, you can choose to upgrade, and there are various, rewards to this. However, if you weren't or didn't know already, and again, I'll go deeper into a Breath of Orbis guide for 2024, you cannot max them all. It is unfortunate, and it feels like an outdated system, which makes no sense whatsoever in the grand scheme of things. But yes, actually, you're unable to max the Breath of Orbis for whatever reason. I don't know why Smilegate intended this or made it this way, but it is what it is. Long story short, use them wisely, but I would definitely focus, especially early on, doing things towards like the Heart of Orbis or stuff like the Forest of Souls so that you can get more bang for your buck when you're trying to level up and gain Sky Stones and gold earlier on. The final thing that I think absolutely no one has ever talked about, which is a new feature, I'm pretty sure is a newish feature, is that if you actually go to your inventory, so you go to inventory and then you go to your equipped characters, sometimes you may ungear or change the gear of characters and move them around, and you may be wondering to yourself, like, is everyone geared? Did I miss anyone? Like, oh, I like ungeared for this new Overlord event. Did I miss anyone? I'm about to play RTA. Am I going to miss anything? And actually, there's a new filter here. I swear this has got to be new. Like, I haven't seen this for a long, maybe not even for a long, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. I think formerly there was hide max level heroes or maybe hide favorites, but now there's just a filter so that if you're ever missing out on a piece of gear, like my Teyu's missing gear, my Strays doesn't have things on, my Zahak is wearing really bad gear because he's no longer a unit, or anything like this, any of these different changes or any of these like missing pieces of gear are now all shown to you in one cohesive kind of location. You don't have to worry about missing gear from people and like, thinking to yourself like, oh my God, do I have to scroll down through like 300 characters to see if they have gear or not? Just scroll down through here. You can see who's missing gear. You can see who's equipped. And yeah, feels like a great time, right? Sounds good. Anyways, guys, those were all the things that I wanted to talk to you about, because I think that these especially are things that EpicSeven really doesn't talk about. They don't really bring it up anywhere unless if you are a super fiend that is kind of just messing around with features and functions. But thank you again for watching today. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. If you did, make sure to like, comment, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe. Thank you again for watching, everyone. Check out the rest of my socials. I am still live for the subathon. I have pain in my body. Thank you so much. By the way, as a general reminder, this Friday is the end of RTA season. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I'll see you all next time. Good night.